All right, let me make sure my camera's good to go. So my name is Richard. I want to welcome you to All About Apps, which is in Celebrity Central today. And today we're going to talk all about apps. Now, since we're talking all about apps, I have to let you know I'm going to use Apple stuff for a lot of this, but most of these apps will work across all of the devices, except for the stuff that I show at the end of the class, is specifically Apple. I'm going to go to a segment where I'm going to say this is new stuff that just came out for iPhones and iPads. Will these things eventually make their way to Android? Yes. Are they there right now? No. But we have to start with the most important part of apps, which is, well, where do you get them? Which is in the App Store. Now, if you have an Apple device, it's called App Store. It's got that little A right here. I'll float it on the screen so we can see it. Yeah. Maybe I'll float it on the screen so we can see it. There's the little A for the App Store. If you have an Android device, it's called Google Play. If you have a Kindle device, it's called the Amazon App Store. If you have a Windows device, what's actually really cool is you can get a lot more apps on Windows than you can on a Mac. It's a little strange. I like my Windows computer for that because I can run a lot of the same apps that I can on there. You got on there even, does anybody in this room, just out of interest, anybody have a Chromebook? Have you heard of those before, the Google Chromebooks? The Chromebooks can run apps as well. I actually have a Chromebook just for running apps. If you do have a BlackBerry, there is a thing called BlackBerry App Store. Nobody cares about it. There's nothing inside of it. But it's there. So, we're going to start with the iOS App Store, because the iOS App Store is the thing that the majority of us in the room are using. Now, the Google Play Store is very similar. They're all very similar, but what I want to start with is I want to start with the iOS App Store. And if I open them up right here, this is the App Store. And what's really cool is Apple actually just redesigned the App Store completely. So a lot of people go, oh, Rich, how do you find all these apps? How do you find these new apps? How do you find these new games? And the cool thing is you actually find them right in the App Store. Because what happens is when most of us go into the App Store, we open up the App Store, we immediately go to the search box, we type in Starbucks. I don't know why people like that store, but I don't like coffee. We type in oh look, it's the secret menu from Starbucks. It's the second app. Obviously, it's not a secret. But I can go in and I can do that. But here's what's cool. Apple's actually added something new called Today. And this relates, Apple's actually doing Today all over. If you go to the Apple stores now, they have this thing called Today at Apple, where they teach you different things every day. And this is the Today section of the App Store, and it's brand new. And it changes at midnight California time every night. And it's going to show you the app of the day, the game of the day, new racing games, new things like that. Some of these apps I'm going to show you I actually found directly from here, especially when we start talking about augmented reality a bit later on in the class. I found right inside of the Today function, and it's actually really cool. Now, you need to have iOS 11 in order to see the Today function, but if you have iOS 11, you click on the App Store, one of the first things that will load is Today, and it will show you the new apps for that day. And it's not every new app, because there's thousands of new apps a day. It's the new apps that...
know which iOS?
How do you know which iOS you have? You do the hokey pokey and you turn so now. Okay, if your App Store logo doesn't look like this, you probably have iOS 10. Now, you ask a good question, I'll give you a good answer. Tomorrow in the iLounge, my assistant is going to teach his first class. And at 4:30, it's going to be a free class. You can just come sign up for it. We're going to have a sign-up sheet from 2 o'clock today, but we only have room for about 30 people in the iLounge, but I'm not throwing them in Central for the first class. We're going to be talking about iOS and iOS 11 and the different things like that. It's a little complex to know if you have it or not, but if it popped up and said, do you want to do an update, and you said yes, then guess what you got?
I got it.
You got it.
My little A looks like that.
Your little A looks like my little A. Remember it, AA, not American Airlines. Going back. Then the other cool thing is I have sections for games and I have sections for apps. So if you like to play games, I'm not a game player, but if you like to play games on your iPhone or your iPad or your Android, you get the games. And if you want to go apps, you can see the different apps and you can see the different categories that are inside of all the different apps. Here's the different categories. Donate to American Red Cross, new apps we love. Really what games and apps are is they're the best things that show up on Today, but for the entire month. So when something shows up there, they show up in games and apps. Now, I can guarantee the one thing that we see all the time on our App Store, if we have a nice amount of apps on our thing, is the little thing that says you have 7,000 updates. Especially in the last week, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, when iOS 11 came out, everyone had to update for it, and it said, you have that 7,000 updates, and here's all of my updates. Now, how many of you do your updates? Probably. How many of you read what's done in your updates? You read because I told you to read last time. He's only quizzed me a few times. He's Facebook friends with me. He sees some weird things. Okay, so, you need to read what's in your updates. Now, sometimes they're dumb things. Like Robinhood is a stock trading app. It just says bug fixes and improvements. Google Slides says bug fixes and improvements. Hangouts says bug fixes and improvements. But I'll give you an example. I've got this application called Procreate. It says this is Procreate 4. The biggest update to Procreate ever, powered by a new incredibly advanced painting engine, Packful. It's going to tell you things that change. I'll give you an example of something that changed. I'll tell you a company that's dying, and it's very interesting, is that, remember back 3 or 4 years, you used to use the word Skype all the time. Do you hear it as much anymore? No, because everyone's got FaceTime and Google Messenger and Facebook. And what really killed Skype was Facebook Messenger adding audio and video calls. So Facebook Messenger adds audio and video calls, and guess what happens to Skype? Some of us still use it. Some of us still have AOL accounts. We'll get there. I'm just teasing her in the front row. But I want to make sure you do your updates, because if bad things happen, that's when companies do updates. If you are not using your device for work, okay, this is very important. If you are using your device for personal reasons and work, okay, you have your work email, you're fine. Every time you see an update from Apple, like a big software update, install it immediately, okay? Yes, it might make battery life worse for 2 or 3 days, but it fixes vulnerabilities. It fixes actual problems. The only reason, now I'll tell you, for example, I have very specific apps I use to do this class, so I will test it with one device before I load it on all my devices and make sure everything works. But for most of you, guess what? It's fine. Like iOS 11 came out, iOS 11.1 I got last night. You guys won't get it until January, but I got it last night to make sure all of my stuff works with it, if that makes sense. And then you've got the search. The other cool thing is if you do get a new device, you've got to understand these apps are all tied to your account. So I can look at all of the apps I've ever purchased. If things want to behave with me, I can look at all of these. They moved it to a new place, and I forget where it is. But I can generally, oh, here we go. So I can click on all of the apps, and I can see all of the apps I've ever purchased. Hundreds and hundreds and possibly thousands of apps over time that I've ever purchased. I can re-download because they are linked to my Apple account. So let's scroll, 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 scroll. The oldest app I have is AOL Instant Messenger and AOL Radio. Now, I don't still have them. They're just things I downloaded back when the iPhone came out in 2007, to give you an idea. I was still an AOL user in 2000. Oh my God, admit that. But there's a lot of different apps, and the biggest problem comes to exposure of those apps to you. So what I'm going to do over the next 40 minutes or so is just show you some of my favorite apps. And here's the very important thing. My favorite apps, meaning that none of these companies have paid me to show you what I'm about to show you. They are my absolute favorite apps for iPhones and iPads and Androids and all those others. So I'm going to grab my iPhone, which is over here, and we're going to go ahead and get started. And, my mom always told me, when you meet a new group of people, there are 2 things that you do not talk about with that group of people. Anybody know what those 2 things are? Politics and religion. So what do you think we're going to go for first? Politics or religion? I like to take it a little far out. So we're going to talk about religion while I wait for my phone to want to play with me. We're going to have a little discussion about religion. Now, it's going to sound absolutely crazy to have a discussion, but this is a great story. So I wanted to trick my mom once. Let me stop mirroring and restart mirroring. Here we go. So I wanted to trick my mom once that I got a tattoo. And I'm Jewish, so, you can't get buried in a Jewish cemetery with a tattoo, okay? So this is really cool. These first 2 apps are a taste of what's to come at the end of the class, but what's really cool is I can use augmented reality to give myself a tattoo. This is a really cool app. You can use this for the kids, you can use it for anyone. It's called Ink Hunter, INKHUNTER. And what you do, I gotta take my shirt sleeve down. is you draw a smile with a marker. So you draw, not doing anything sneaky here. And then you choose a tattoo and it automatically appears on your arm. Now you can go to Mike Tyson tattoo, you can go with any kind of tattoo you want. So let's go create a text tattoo, tap to edit. I love Microsoft. No, better. BlackBerry. So I can say I love BlackBerry. And then when I click on I love BlackBerry, what it's going to do, so I obviously made it already, and I replaced that there. That's a little, let's go with a picture instead. I love BlackBerry's a little weird. Let's go with that tribal snake tattoo. So if I hit on that tribal snake tattoo, gotta get enough light here for it to behave. There we go. But it's actually gone ahead and it's replaced that smiley face with a tribal snake tattoo. And my mom did not believe I got a tattoo. So I went out to the pool deck and I showed her on the pool deck. I went down to the crew mess and I showed her on the crew mess. So we pull into Miami. So I want to see your tattoo. I want to see your tattoo. So I showed her how the trick was done, and you know what she did? She sent to my grandmother her tattoo. She said we got matching tattoos. What? That's a really cool one. It's called Ink Hunter. It's available on iOS and Android. And now I need the dollar. Now, you can't hand it to me because that's not appropriate.
Oh.
Okay. So now it's time to talk about politics. So we've talked about religion, we've talked about politics. On the front of the dollar bill is one of the last great presidents. It's George Washington. And this is really cool. This uses augmented reality as well. It's an application called 1600. And most of you are not American, but any of you know what 1600 stands for?
Pennsylvania.
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, which is home to the Cheetos mascot. Okay, so, but here's where things get cool. This is just a standard dollar bill. I don't carry money around the ship. She must like the casino, right? Like, casino? Okay, she likes the casino. There's always a gambler in the audience. But I've taken this dollar bill from someone, and imagine what I can do with it. And this is where things start to get really cool. All I have to do is take this $1 bill, place it on the floor, and it comes to life. And I can turn the bill around.
The White House is more than a home for the president and his family. It's the people's house. So it's your house too.
And you can zoom in, you'll see the flags change.
George Washington laid the cornerstone of this iconic building that has been an emblem of our country for more than 200 years.
But I can go in. There we go. They're playing something. But I can go in and I can see all of these different things right there on the screen. I'll give you back your dollar. I think it's pretty cool. Now here's the thing. That's a taste of what's to come later on. I've added what's called a kicker to the end of this class. I'm going to show you some more augmented reality stuff that just came out. But I'm going to keep going in augmented reality, as weird as that sounds, because I think that's the future of a lot of different apps and things like that. How many of you have watched Star Trek before? Yeah? What's one of the coolest pieces of tech on Star Trek? Not the holodeck. Okay, the coolest piece of tech that you could put in your pocket on Star Trek. The communicator. Morbid people. The communicator. Imagine if you could communicate with anybody all over the world really easily. And the communicator actually does exist already, and an app you may have looked at some point in the past, but you're not using it to its full potential. It's called Google Translate. I'm sure we've heard of Google Translate before, but we've never really used Google Translate before. So I can go ahead and I can open up this app. And if I wanted to go from English to Spanish, I can type in hello. And it will translate from English to Spanish. I think hello in Spanish is hola. Yeah, you say, I know, we're going to get more confusing later. And it'll say in a few seconds, if I want it to behave, it'll
Hola.
say, hola. Now, we've done that before. Now, another cool thing I can do is I can actually talk to Google Translate, and I can even have a conversation between two people. Do I have anybody that speaks Spanish in this room? I'm from Miami. I should speak Spanish. I don't. Any volunteers? Okay. I'm going to try with myself. If I fail miserably, I'm coming back to you. But watch this. I can go. I'll tell you, I know 2 Spanish phrases. One's clean, one's dirty. Go clean one first. You're in Disney World, and they go, por favor, manténganse alejados de las puertas. Which means?
Please stay away from the doors.
Well, that's nice you told me to stay away from the doors, but I want to go in the doors because I want to sue Disney. And it should say that out loud. And it'll say it out loud, and I can actually have a conversation back and forth with someone. So I can say, you know, can you tell me where the bathroom is? And tell me where the bathroom is.
¿Puedes decirme dónde está el baño?
The bathroom's right out in front of the theater, and we're actually going to talk about the bathroom in a couple minutes' time from now, so don't worry about it. And it's translating this on the fly. So I can actually translate all these other things. I am from Miami, so it will speak it out loud. We can give it a second, just has to think about it. Okay. But I am from Miami, so there's a pickup line you can use in Miami. You go up to the ladies, speak Spanish, you go, okay? Let's get him to pay. La tortuga en mis pantalones es muy grande. Oh God, it's supposed to be turtle. La tortuga. Oh yeah, got it. The turtle is in my pants, but I don't have turtles. You know, you can go in and you can translate all of these different things. But here's where it gets cool. You might have done the text thing before. You might have done the speaking thing before, but I can tell you what you've never done before is the seeing thing. And this is where it starts to get really cool. Is you can take any printed piece of paper in any language without an internet connection and translate that from one language to the other. You've got the daily program right there, I assume?
No.
What is that?
You can use that.
Disembarkation questionnaire. How many kilos of cocaine are you taking off in Southampton? I'm glad you've got great plans for Madeira. Okay, so we can go ahead and we can go from English to Spanish, and this says disembarkation questionnaire. I'm getting all these prompts just so you know, because this is a new iPhone, so I've never opened these apps before on this phone, so if things go terribly wrong. But here we go. It said disembarkation questionnaire. What does it say now? Desembarque questionario.
Oh.
Spanish isn't that hard. Celebrity cruises is Celebridad Cruceros. El cocaine is still cocaine. But express walkout, express caminar de descuento, regular desembarque, traslado al aeropuerto. And the cool thing is, you go somewhere, I think here's one of the best secrets I'm going to tell you. If you go out in, where are we going? We're going to Tenerife tomorrow, and we're going to Madeira the day after. If you go to a restaurant that's menu is printed in English, you are a tourist, and you shouldn't go to that restaurant. You want to go somewhere that doesn't have an English menu, then you take your Google Translate, you put it on it, you look like a wizard, you look like you speak Portuguese or Spanish or Dutch or Italian. Because before Google Translate, I had one thing I would order in restaurants: lasagna. Because that is spelled the same everywhere. So then I found another thing, schnitzel, but you never know what type of schnitzel it is, so that one's a little riskier. Lasagna is really easy. Now that's called Google Translate. Now another application I want to show you. Now I said that we asked where the baño was earlier, and I know that that's a big question a lot of you have a lot of the time. You're like, where's the bathroom? And especially if you go see a movie. Now we're in the ship cinema, and in the ship cinema you might see a movie, but if you go to a movie nowadays, you know that if you order a small drink, the drink is like this big. Maybe not in the UK, but in the States, this is a small. So you order a drink, the drink is that big, and you sit there, and after about 20 minutes, half an hour of the movie, guess what you got to do? You got to go tinkle. Now, you paid good money for that movie, so you're going to miss out on something, but this is a really cool app. It's called RunPee. It tells you during a movie when you can go run and pee. Very simple. So let's pick the last movie I stole from the internet. The Stephen King movie. Oh, look, and there's an ad. It's not going to let me see it right now. It's actually sponsored by this thing called Myrbecu. If any of you know what Myrbecu is, it's an overactive bladder medication. I can see that during this movie there are 3 pee times. And pee time number 1 is 41 minutes in, pee time number 2 is 1 hour and 1 minute in, and pee time number 3 is 1 hour and 38 minutes in. So what I do is I set a timer and it will vibrate in my pocket when it is time to go pee. It'll vibrate, it'll say, it's time to go pee. And here's the thing, when I get up and I need to go pee, it will actually tell me what is going on while I'm peeing. Take it out, just go for it, and it tells you exactly what's going on. It is what I call the synopsis. Wonderful, wonderful things. And the other cool thing is it'll tell you if there's something before the movie or after the movie that you're going to miss. You know, they have, you go running late. Hey, if you're up to 3 minutes late in the movie, this will tell you exactly what's going on in the movie. It'll tell you if there's anything after the credits, like some in all those Marvel movies and stuff like that, which is, about 1 minute till the next pee time. No. But I can go in and I can see the name of that application is RunPee. Now, here's another one that's interesting. Let's say you don't just want to translate a language, but you want to learn how to speak it. What is the #1 language learning software in the world, because they spend so much money advertising? Rosetta Stone. Now, I used to not be able to show this next application I was showing because Celebrity had a financial relationship with Rosetta Stone. The good news is that financial relationship is over. So, this is like Rosetta Stone, but unlike Rosetta Stone, it is free. And the big secret to this is actually made by the same people who made Rosetta Stone. So, it's called Duolingo. Duolingo. And you can learn a language. Let's say I want to learn Spanish. So which of these is the boy? That's El Nino. It's also what's causing all the hurricanes. Which of these is the man? El hombre. Which of these is the woman?
La mujer.
That becomes very useful when you're in Thailand. Which of these is the girl?
La niña.
And it'll ask you all
Una
kinds of
niña.
things, but you can learn. I haven't said Spanish, because Spanish is what most of the people. I don't want to see ads. Go ad free. I have to pay to go ad free. No, I'm not paying. So I guess they added ads, but who cares? But you can learn all kinds of different languages. So I can learn Spanish, French, Portuguese, Swedish, Turkish, Esperanto, Ukrainian. There's one I've been trying to learn for the dining room. It's Russian. Pick up the Russian girls from the dining room. So far, I've spoken Russian, and they've only spoken back to me yet. I'm not 100% sure what that means. Russian, Polish. If I wanted to go work on the bridge, I can learn Greek. If I wanted to go on safari in Africa, I can learn Swahili. I wouldn't want to learn Korean. Italian, Irish, Norwegian, Welsh, Vietnamese, German, Japanese, Hebrew, Hungarian, Romanian, Dutch, and Danish for free. Now, Danish, remember, that's what you eat at breakfast. It's not a language. It's just there for fun. Okay, so this is completely free. It's called Duolingo. It's a really awesome application called Duolingo. Now, we're talking about languages. I want to show you something else that's really cool, but we need to understand what is the universal language of the world. No, try again. Mandarin. No, try again. Someone's going to shout out, love. This happens every few years. No, the universal language of the world, as it's on my clipboard, and someone's trying to call me. That's not going to do any good. Universal language of the world is math. I'm an engineer by trade. This is the universal language of the world. Now, my sister, I want to show you how she got through college algebra. Great application called Photomath. And what it does is it solves math problems with the camera on your phone. Now, this is one you can bring back to the kids and the grandkids because I love it so much. So what I do is I just take my phone, point it at the math problem. That one's easy enough. Okay. 4x equals 12. X equals 3. 3x plus 7x equals 27 is a little more difficult. X equals 27 over 10. It's too easy though. Let's do a harder one. 4x plus 9 equals 27x plus 2. X equals 7 over 23. But anybody a teacher in the room? No, seriously, anybody a teacher in the room? You can admit it. Anybody used to be a teacher? Okay, so what are you going to say? I'm going to give you the answer. What are you going to say? Show your work. I can graph it. I can do anything I want to there. It's really quite cool. Now, this all goes down that augmented reality rift, which we're going to go to later. I've been showing these apps for a lot of years, and Apple's just now finally getting really good at it. Now, we've talked about language. We've talked about things. The thing we haven't talked about, let's combine it together, languages and all that other things. At 10:15 every C-Day morning, you hear boom, boom. I saw him downstairs, Captain Leo, when I was walking here, and he's like, Richard, why are you carrying a fire extinguisher around the ship? And I looked at him dead in the face. I go, it's because I have a Samsung phone in my left pocket. That's what he asked me. 10:15 every morning, Leo gets out the announcements, and Leo goes, boom, boom. I wanted to let you know that since we left the port of Lisbon, Portugal, we have gone 416 nautical miles. What the heck does that mean? So, you could go type it into Google, or you could go do that, or, when Captain Leo, when you're like, how do I need to pay for something? If you go outside, one of the worst places in the world, if you've ever been to Norway, I don't know if any of you have ever been to Norway or Sweden, you will go out and buy a cup of coffee for $75. You don't know, because it's kronas, it's imaginary. But there's one app. It just goes on the credit card, it's imaginary. There's one app that will actually do something really cool. It will translate distances and currencies and everything like that. So Captain Leo said we went 416 nautical miles. I did a new phone, I have not added nautical miles yet. There we go. Let me add miles, kilometers. So 416 nautical miles is actually 478 miles or 770 kilometers. The name of this app is Converter Plus, and it's a little plus sign. It's not the word plus, it's a little plus sign. But this, did I kill my mic? Maybe, I got too excited. It's okay. Check. Hey, okay, we're back. So, I can convert all of these different things. We've got weight, mass, we've got velocity, speed. I'll give you an example. When we go to velocity, speed, I asked one of the engineers, I said, how fast do the elevators on board move? And according to all of your comment cards, they don't. But he said they can move it up to 35 feet per second, which is 23 miles per hour, or if you really, 38 miles per hour, or 38 kilometers per hour, or a rousing 20 knots. So you can go in and you can convert anything. You can even convert currency. I know it's a sticky subject, but I believe that pounds are things you lose. But I can convert currencies, I can convert weights. I can use, there's a really cool function that very few Europeans will ever use. It's called a tip calculator. Oh, that was a funny one. It's a little too close to home. It's a really cool function that you can go in and you can calculate all of these different things in one simple and easy place. It's called Converter Plus. Now, the question is, I've come to the part of the classroom, I'm like, I don't know where to go next. So every app I've shown you so far, I know where we're going now, every app I've shown you so far is a free application. I want to show you a paid application, but the reason I show you this, it is my mom's favorite application. Next time we meet, you're going to see my mom's favorite gadget, which is, I don't know if any of you have one, the Amazon Echo. It's the thing you yell Alexa at 1,000 times, and it does nothing. No, it actually does. But this is my mom's favorite application. It's called Dark Sky. What it does is it tells you exactly when it is going to precipitate exactly where you are. Now you'll notice I didn't say rain because yes, I'm from Florida, and I used to say exactly where it's going to rain, and people will go, where I'm from it snows. And I'm like, oh. Where I'm from it doesn't snow. So we've got an interesting storm near Nora Springs, Iowa. Who would want to go there? But I've got an interesting storm there, and it's going to tell me heavy rain for the hour. So we use this during the hurricanes and different things like that. So you see it's heavy, but if you really needed to go out and do something, you know that in 30 minutes or 40 minutes, it's going to go down dramatically. We used this during the most recent hurricane to actually figure out when to take the dogs out to take a pee. during the hurricane. So it's kind of like run pee for dogs with weather, but here's the secret to it. It only predicts the next hour. Now, here's the thing. When I retire from ships, I've determined what job I want to have. I want to be a UK weatherman. Because I just come on TV every day. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BBC. I wanted to let you know that today it's going to rain. And if I'm wrong, what happens? People are happy, right? If I do my job improperly, people are happy. So take it. It's fine. But this is really cool. It'll work in the UK as well. On iPhone, they are both free on iPhone and Android. Now, back in the day, if you got this app, if you shook your head and you said, yeah, I know this app, it was a $3 app. Now, what they've done is they've gone to a subscription model. It's a free app, and it's like $3 a year to have this app and to see when the precipitation's coming. It's really, really awesome. It does predict for longer than just the 1 hour, but I only trust it for the hour. It is so accurate. I check its accuracy just for fun. Sometimes I sit out in the backyard of the porch and wait for it to rain. It's like, it will rain in 1 minute. And 1 minute later, it starts to rain. It uses some really cool tech called Forecast.io to be able to do all of those different things. Now let's see where I want to go next. I have a lot of stuff, and I don't know where I want to go because I have a brand new setup. Let's see what I want to go with. I haven't installed everything on my phone. Let me look at my iPad real quick. I want to show you a couple more things before we go into augmented reality. Where'd you go, iPad? Oh, I forgot about this. So some apps in this world nowadays have these things called accessories. I want to talk about accessories for a minute because this is really quite cool. Now, what's an accessory? I forgot. I'm wearing a couple of them. But I'm wearing a really cool accessory that I can promise none of you have ever seen before. And I saw it in the Apple Store in the UK 4 days ago, so I know they sell it in the UK. This is an accessory. What accessory is, it's a gadget that works with an app that measures your stress. Now, I live a reasonably stress-free life, except when someone brings in a BlackBerry, it's a recurring theme. They go, this thing doesn't work. I go, well, you're telling me something I don't know? But this guy right here is really cool. I gotta pull it out of my pants. This is called the Spire. And what it does is it clips right, now for men it clips right in your pants and goes right against your chest, you're right against your belly right there. For women, you can put it in your bra. See, tip to your bra. And it will actually tell you when you are stressed, when you're not stressed, as well as count your steps, because it is a respiration monitor. It sounds absolutely crazy, but it does work. Let me open up the app. I'll see if I can show you if I'm stressed today or not.
What was it called?
It's called the Spire, S-P-I-R-E. Reposition my Spire. I am going to unbutton my pants right now.
How stressful go on?
Yeah. I'm going to show you this in a second. This is a cool gadget too. But what it's going to do is it's actually going to calculate my breath rate. So it's going to calculate my respiration rate, and if I'm stressed, what will happen is the Spire will vibrate to tell me that I'm stressed. So it'll vibrate and be like, hey, you're stressed, you should probably take a walk or something. Yeah, it didn't catch my whole day. But it'll calculate and it'll show you over time how many minutes tense, how many minutes different things like that. And the great thing is it is laundry proof. I have sent this down to the crew laundry on my pants 3 times. And everyone who works in the laundry in China everyone who works in the laundry is from China. They don't speak any English. So the guy I went downstairs, he goes, oh, my brother works in this factory. That was a bad joke. Probably true. Okay. But here's the cool thing. I want to show you another. An accessory is just a gadget that works with an app. I want to show you another cool gadget. This is not a gadget. This is something all you ladies want to buy for your husbands. Trust me. This is the last belt you'll ever need. You know how your husbands go through belts because they gain weight, they lose weight, you go on a cruise, they gain weight, they lose weight, you go on a cruise, they gain weight, they lose weight, you go on a cruise. This is called a mission belt. And what's cool is it has 400 different settings. So instead of having 3 holes, it has 400. So you eat a big meal in Murano, what you do is you just pull the button and you push it out. 2 loops there, 3 loops there, 3 loops there. You go on a nice walk out in port. I love it. So that's my belt. But That's a story for another day. But now we have to talk about, these are the droids you're looking for.
Yeah.
Now this is a really interesting gadget. I got it right before I came on the ship, and this is R2-D2. And this uses Bluetooth to actually allow me to control my droid. Let me see if he wants to behave. Bluetooth, control the droid. Wireless. I might go to my phone in a second. Actually, I think I can do it without the screen. But I want to show you the screen. Oh, here we go. So these are actually droids that work, and I can go in, I can type in droid, D-R-O-I-D. And it's made by a company called Spiro. Now, if you saw the last... Oh, that's okay. Let's make all that noise. So if you saw the last Star Wars movie, you might have seen this little guy. This is BB-8. And I think one of the interesting things was this was actually done as a special effect in the movie. Someone actually ran around holding the head and holding the body. And what's cool is a toy company figured out how to actually make him work. So this one actually works. I'm going to give Star Wars a second to load it up because he's got new content there. Turn on the audio. Okay. And here's the cool thing. I can connect to either of these two guys. It's going to find them. And I can, via Bluetooth, drive them around. Now these, let's go with R2 first. Let's go with R2 first. I'm going to pull him on the screen as well. Oh, don't give me this firmware update. Oh. So what happens when you get a new iOS software? Let's try that one more time. Let's go for the other one. Always check your software updates. Remember, I told you that earlier in the class. Don't really believe the things I say myself sometimes. Let's see if R2-D2 needs a firmware update. If so, I will let them do a firmware update, and we will come back to them in a couple minutes' time. So here's R2. Come on, no software update, no software update, no software update, no software update. Okay. We're going to let it do a software update. I'm going to show you some augmented reality apps, and I'm going to finish with this guy as well. So in iOS 11, which is the software that just came out, I showed you something from IKEA yesterday, which I've taken that video and I posted it online because a child's stool is just... Oh, don't worry. That was just to put out the fire. A child's stool was much too funny if you don't know what we're talking about. Don't worry about it. You missed yesterday. Too bad. So, this is really cool. This is new stuff. This is stuff I'm adding right now. It's called augmented reality. Now, you've probably seen the stupid people on TV that strap their phone to their face and go, ooh, that's so cool. Oh, yeah. How many of us want to do that? How many of us wear glasses? Can't strap the phone to the face. It's not as comfortable. So this is the future. This is where things are headed. It's something called augmented reality. Now, what I'm about to show you does not display on the screen perfectly because it's going to display a little upside down and right side up, but it will give you the concept. I want to start with the application I showed yesterday called IKEA Place, or 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I don't know when I showed it, called IKEA Place. And I never gave you the name of it, that's why I want to show it again. And it's not the normal IKEA app, but it allows you to actually design a room in a physical space. So I can go ahead, so what you have to do is you have to take your phone, aim it at the floor, move them around a bit, and then you can add some furniture. Let's add a chair. I know you've seen this. I'm going to show you some other ones. I know you've seen this guy. But there's a couple people who haven't. There's the chair. So I can add a chair, and if I wanted to, I can sit in the chair. That worked well. I can add a chair. I can't sit in the chair. What do you think this is? But if I wanted to, I could try and sit in the chair. But that's just the beginnings of this. I want to take it a little bit further. Now, how many of us have kids? This is a broken phone. I'll leave it back by there. So how many of you have kids or grandkids? A lot of us have kids or grandkids. Now, this is a book that I read as a child growing up. I do not know if it's big in the UK, but I would assume it's a little big. You ever seen the book The Hungry Caterpillar? Yeah. Where the caterpillar just kind of eats everything? Yeah. Well, kids nowadays don't like books. I was talking with a friend of mine on the ship the other night, and they go, it's so sad I can't get to the ship's library. And I go, what's a book? This brings The Hungry Caterpillar to a new generation. It's called Hungry Caterpillar AR. And what it's going to do is it's going to actually tell you the story of the hungry caterpillar in the world around you. Let's see if he wants to behave real quick. I should get a caterpillar somewhere here. Where's my caterpillar? Oh, there he is. See? Uh-oh, watch your foot. There's a caterpillar. And I can add an apple. Caterpillar. Go ahead. Let me turn it this way so you can see what's going on. Caterpillar goes ahead and eats the apple. But what this is this is augmented reality. So it's going ahead and it's actually augmenting my reality. Now, I get new applications for this all the time. I got this application last night, about 9 o'clock. It's called Sky Guide. And then I went upstairs to the top deck. I'm going to show you the application first. I'm going to show you what it looks like outside at night. What this does is this overlays your camera on a map of the stars. So you can see where everything is. This is not Star Walk. This is a much more advanced version of Star Walk. I'm going to show you exactly what it says. I know you might have seen Star Walk before, which is an app I used to show. But this is really cool. Let me see if I can open this up. This was from last night. I took this on the top deck last night. And you'll see there's the satellite dishes, there's the ship. But as I point up, I'll see the moon, exactly where it's lined up. And I'll see all these other things exactly where they are in physical space. And I can turn up the sky brightness and see more of what's going on and see less of what's going on. And I can actually go ahead and take this. I took this last night right outside the ship just to give you a little perspective. There are a lot of different augmented reality apps, and who would have guessed they're right on the Today page of the iPhone showing you all about them. I have another one I want to show you. Now this one, I don't know if it's going to play in here, but this actually lets you measure things with your phone. So with your iPhone, and this is coming to Android as well pretty soon too. I have to analyze the floor. This is, I think, one of the coolest ones. Let me get this to play. Select a measurement tool. So I choose, let's say I wanted to measure this screen right here. And I can hit measure. Let me get it to play. No surface found. Okay, I want to measure from here to here. Let's go here. If I want to measure, let's see how long that is. I'm going to go here. And then I have a measuring tape. Mark the location there. And I can see the distance. And I took a ruler and I actually measured this, and it is 100% accurate. That's what's really cool. So I can go in and I can measure. I can measure out and draw out an entire room if I wanted to. And here's the thing. This technology has been out for a week. And I'm showing you all of this already. Think about that for a second. It's been out for 1 week. How we okay. Star Wars, you're gonna come in the next class because I didn't do my software updates. I promise. That's my mistake. But the cool thing is, what?
What's that one called?
That one is called Tap Measure. TAPMEASURE. Now, this last folder I showed, to get any of these apps, you must have iOS 11 installed on your iPhones, and you must have an iPhone 6S or later, or an iPad 5 or later. So you need to have a pretty recent phone to be able to do it, because it requires a significant amount of horsepower to be able to do. I'll show you one more, and then we're going to talk about one last thing. This is Thomas the Tank Engine. And I can take Thomas the Tank Engine, and I can play with him. I've actually never opened it on this phone, so good luck with that one. I can take Thomas the Tank Engine, and I can play with him, and I can take him out of the phone and put him virtually on any surface. The idea of augmented reality, unlike virtual reality, is it augments the world around you. Now, the next time we're going to meet here will be on the next C-Day, and we're going to be talking about the cloud. Now, understand, we will touch on the iCloud. We're going to touch a little bit on the Google Cloud. We're going to touch on what is the cloud. We're going to talk about Alexa. We'll talk about Siri. We'll talk about all those other things. This is not going to be an iCloud class. I want to be very clear. It's what is the cloud, because here's the dirty secret. I don't use iCloud. I think it's terrible. You notice that I'm not letting my lips be seen, so I can claim that I'm a ventriloquist right here, so I don't get in trouble for saying iCloud's terrible. Now, if I don't use iCloud, what do I use instead of iCloud? That's something we're going to be discussing at 3:30 today, which is called Google Photos. If you've never heard of Google Photos, Google Photos is by far my favorite application, and unfortunately, I've tried to teach it in this room before, and it just doesn't come across nearly as well. I don't know what I'm opening right here. It doesn't come across nearly as well, but I'll give you an idea. I like to show something a little bit different. This is going to back up all of your photos and all of your videos from your iPhone, from your iPad, from your Android, from your Windows phone, not from your BlackBerry, but it'll back them all up unlimited, for free, and here's where it gets cool. It will actually edit your photos for you. So I'll give you an example. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the photos it's edited for me recently. So this is a picture I took in, let's see if I can get, I took it in London, yeah. There we go. I took that picture right at London at the Big Ben. I'm going to see if I can get this guy. On the eye, yes, on the eye. He's got it right. On the eye, and I've got that. Now, it automatically enhanced that picture and made it look a lot better. Now, I'll tell you, that came from my Android phone. But I can go in, and I can look at all of these creations. I took some pictures of fireworks at Disney. That's just a burst of pictures. It automatically edited together and made it a video. When you take a whole bunch of videos, take a whole bunch of pictures in one day, it's going to automatically put them together, make them videos. This is the Matterhorn at Disney, and you'll see you got the car coming up. I didn't do any of this. It automatically animated. I mean, that looks like a professional thing that you'd find on the brochure. I took that with my phone. And Google Photos automatically edited it. This is when a rhino was about to charge our car. There's the rhino. This is me in the Nixon Nixon Presidential Library. See, I'm not a crook. But it's gone ahead and it's animated. This is me and my friend who everybody thinks we're together. I'm straight, but we were both wearing no shirts, so I excuse them with the giraffe. And it's gone ahead and it's animated all of my photos and all of my videos. So not only will it back it up, it will also go ahead and animate it. At 3:30 today in the iLounge, we're going to be doing a hands-on class on Google Photos. Now, every app I've shown you today, I've spent maybe 3 or 4 minutes on. Google Photos is an hour and a half purely on Google Photos, okay? It's an hour and a half purely on Google Photos. That's going to be at 3:30 in the iLounge. It is a $15 charge for the class, but it also includes any internet to download the apps you need for it too, so it kind of works out better there. I have to because I can only fit about 23, 24 people in there, but that's what we're doing. But tomorrow afternoon, we're going to do something a little bit different. Wandi, come on. Come here. So, Wandi taught one class in here before. And he told people all kinds of information. I had to break in. I had to tell him no. I took the microphone from him. I said no. But Wandi thinks he's ready to teach a class again, so he needs a couple victims. So tomorrow, stay back over here. You can get the camera. The camera, Wandi, wave high. Tomorrow at 4:30. Tomorrow at 4:30 in the iLounge. You just need to come sign up. We're going to have the sign-up sheet from 2. We're going to take the first 25 people that we've got there. It's free class. We just need to not have 1,000 people in there. In the iLounge, we're going to be talking about iOS 11. I'd like to make sure when you come, you have iOS 11 on your device. So when you come to sign up, I'm going to check if you have it. You're welcome to come anyways if you don't, but we're going to have the sign-up sheet for that at 2. It's a free class, but you just need to sign up because we don't need to have 1,000 people crammed into the iLounge, if that makes sense. And Wandi's not ready for Celebrity Central yet. But on the last day of the cruise, I'm kidding, Wandi.
It's okay.
I promoted this guy years ago. He comes on the ship with a Windows computer and an Android phone. I go, I'm going to fire this guy. Then we call him the Haitian sensation. And the next C-Day at 10:30 in the morning, before the next class we're going to be taking a look at the Mac up in the iLounge. That's another one. We'll have the sign-up sheet. It's a free class, but we'll have the sign-up sheet up in the iLounge just to make sure that everybody gets in there properly. And then we're going to have the apps. Then we're going to have the iCloud class, which is also going to be an apps class about the cloud and different things like that. And that afternoon, we're going to do an advanced settings class, but I'll give you a little bit more information at the next cloud class. Elsewise, my name is Richard. This is Wandi, also known as the Haitian Sensation. And this has been All About Apps. Bye!